I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, so grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, so grateful for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. Yes, the love of God is here. Make
Good
it into some
afternoon, everyone.
reggae.
Thank you, Penelope. That was beautiful. Good afternoon. I am Reverend Jean Bell. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. I am so glad that you're here with us today. If you are viewing on Facebook or YouTube Live, please like and share our broadcast so we can continue to spread the good news out into the world. If you are new, please see a welcome team member out in the hallway for a gift, especially for you. All right, I am going to go through the monthly affirmation. I'm going to read it all the way through, and then I'm going to invite you to say it with me. I am rooted in truth, grounded in the wisdom of interconnected life. As I nurture the soil of my consciousness with intention and love, I grow in alignment with a future of wholeness, balance, and limitless possibility. That's beautiful. Let us say that together in one voice. I am rooted in truth, grounded in the wisdom of interconnected life. As I nurture the soil of my consciousness with intention and love, I grow in alignment with a future of wholeness, balance, and limitless possibility. And so it is. And so it is. Welcome, Jamel, with the announcements.
Hello, hello, everyone. It feels so good to see you all. It's been a while. Give thanks, yes. Well, hello, I am Jamel Morris. I serve on the creative arts team here at SLCA. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are so happy that you chose to spend your time with us. Please make yourself known in the online chat or in person so a member of our welcome team can greet you. We have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at SLCA. For more information about today's announcements and other opportunities, please scan the QR code found on your monitors. Visioning is vital to the sustainability of SLCA. Join SLCA practitioner Sanechi, I know has Nana today, during our 5 o'clock hour as she leads our community in a vision for SLCA. This will take place every second Sunday, and we would love for you to join in. We need a collective vision for SLCA, and that'll be great. Reverend Jean is excited to announce a new opportunity to grow today during our 5 o'clock hour. Join Reverend Jean Bell, right? She'll be right back up. To discover the basic ideas of science of mind. This is a perfect refresher class for members and is especially designed to help newcomers understand the basics. You will learn how to use these principles to enhance your personal well-being and live a more freeing and fulfilled life. Next, register today for Doris Shannon's workshop, Conversations with Your Mind. Find out why it is important to begin having conversations with your subconscious mind. It's very important. To find out how to register for this informative workshop, visit us after service or register on the SLCA website. The workshop is on April the 17th at 6 p.m. Let's take a hike. How many of you guys are ready to move? I just got done taking a hike at Stone Mountain this morning. On April the 19th at 10 a.m., you can get to know people in our spiritual community while participating in a light hiking out. We will meet at Vickery Creek Park. Register today on slca.com for more details. Let's connect together and let's move together. Save the date. Join us for an important SLCA Town Hall meeting on April the 27th. This town hall is filled with information that you do not want to miss, so please be there and mark that date. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to visiting you after service in the social hall for food and fellowship. Please be sure to speak to at least 2 people you have not met before. And remember, you belong. Have a great afternoon.
divine. God lives in me as me, and I can choose life differently. We all are one, and we are free right now. God lives in you. God lives in me. Will you join me? I am divine. God lives in me as me, and I can choose life differently. We all are one, and we are free right now. God lives in you. God lives in me.
Continue the journey inward, and there you will meet yourself, the God in you, the divine source of all life, the undifferentiated source and substance of all, and that includes you, and that includes me, and that includes each and every person. And it doesn't matter whether they remember this truth or have never heard it before. When I remember, I give others permission to know who they are. And so know with me this day that we are one life, one divine, beautiful emanation, each one individualized, unique, different personalities, co-creating different experiences, and it's all God in perfect expression. And so knowing this, I fret not, I worry not. I know that my strength begins in my consciousness, remembering the truth of who I am. And so I can affirm with absolute confidence this day that everything is in divine order. What label may be put upon the events of the day, good, bad, chaotic, confusing, I know a greater truth, and this truth is that perfection it is my experience, because I call it forth with every breath in my body. I call it forth in my thinking. I call it forth in my actions. And I invite you to call it forth with me. Perfect you, perfect me, perfect us, perfect life. And because I know this as the truth, I celebrate. I give thanks. I live in gratitude. And I can release my word. I know that there is a law that has already received it. There is a law, immutable, that has already received the direct impress of my thought, my words, and has already said yes, yes, and yes. And together, we declare this to be so as we say together, and so it is.
I am divine. God lives in me as me, and I can choose life differently. We all are one, and we are free right now. God lives in you. God lives in me. So it is.
Thank you, Baji, for that beautiful prayer. Thank you, Penelope. Good afternoon, everyone. Great day to be here together. We're glad that you're here. My name is David Alexander. I'm the spiritual director here. My pronouns are he and his. And this is our time of tithes and offerings. It's our time to participate in the circulation and the good of this community, the impact that we are making in the world, in the community, and each other's lives as we share this message. And so we're speaking to all of us who are joining us online, either live today on Sunday, Palm Sunday, by the way, yeah, today or in the future, whenever you find this broadcast. We're grateful that you found us on Facebook or on YouTube, and you're joining in the collective of the bodies here in the room that are part of a large community connected to Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, who care about this place, who want to see it grow and continue to serve the broader community and reach out across the world, and our gifts make that possible. So lots of ways to give today. Text any amount on your phone. It's really easy to do. Just take out your phone, point it at the QR code is one way. Your camera will recognize that as a website to go to, and it'll open up our donation page through Breeze, or you can go directly there to slca.com/donations, or simply text a number that you want to give, a dollar amount of any amount, to the number 404-800-9467, and your phone knows what to do with the rest. It'll prompt you in your text messages for all of your information. If you've given before, it's even better because it already knows all that information and just accepts your donation. So thank you for joining us today and for being a part of the giving of this community. Let's hold our gifts in our hands. If you're a pledger like me, you can pick up a pledge card and recognize that you're part of over 100 people a month who have an automatic contribution coming into this center and coming out, and so we're grateful for that as well. So we hold these gifts in our hands, whatever form they take, and we circulate them digitally. We know that we are once again participating in something bigger than just our own gift in this moment, and we want to be part of that divine flow. We want to be part of that divine love. We want to be part of that circulation in the universe, and so with great joy, with great enthusiasm, with a willing heart, we participate in this as we bless these gifts. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. So we are.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
All right. So we joyfully and lovingly receive these gifts into the heart of this ministry now. We know that they are moving in a divine flow, in that pressed down and overflowing to meet the needs of this community and beyond, to circulate back to us as the joy and the love and the circulation and the dynamic activity of good that is happening here. For this and so much more, I'm truly grateful and thankful, and so it is.
In your eyes, I recognize the truth, the beauty, and the power of pure spirit. I know who you are beyond what you have done, beyond what has happened to you. I see your essence and your magnificence. I see it in you and in me. I salute the divine in you and in us all. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. Would you put your hands together? One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. Join me. One heart, one love, one life, one life, one spirit, one heart, one love, one life, one spirit, one heart, one love. Look around the room. One life, yeah, one spirit. This is the day you are a blessing to the world, and you are all you know you can be. This day you shine for the divine. A one heart, one love, one life, one spirit. Here we go. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit, one spirit. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit, one heart, one love, one life, one spirit. No matter what they say, one heart, one love, one life, one spirit. Amen. Yes, that's right. That's right. Don't forget that now.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Penelope. Give her some more love, Penelope Williams. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, good afternoon again. It's good to see you. Welcome to Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. It is Passover, so blessed Passover to all those who are observing in our broader community, as well as Palm Sunday. And so we're going to talk about some of those things today. We have some guests here today. Ooh, can I get a mic real quick? I won't put you on the spot, Daniel. We have practitioner Gina from Chicago. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Rev, right? Rev, Gina, excuse me. Rev with Anton and Daniel Epstein, beautiful photographer, artist, creator. Tell us what you're doing.
I've been blessed to interview 512 people in 30 countries about their spiritual journeys. over the last 24 years, adding on personal days to my work travels, and I make a portrait of each person. I call it Portraits in Faith. And Reverend Gina turned it into a museum exhibition, and we're just finishing 10 months at the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah. It is awesome. I've been to the website. I haven't seen it in person yet, but I've been talking to them about it for a while, and it is powerful, and maybe we'll see some version of it in these hallways. They're also working on getting it at the, can I say it? I'm sorry. I'm glad I asked. Never mind. We are affirming and knowing together that there are other great places that may be close and convenient for us to go to that it might show up at. There we go. See? Keep the rev keep on 10 toes here. I'll get myself in trouble, and I don't want to get anybody else in trouble. I get myself in trouble plenty of times. All right. So connect with them afterwards if you want to learn more about it, and certainly when it appears in other forms, we're going to let you know. So just remember you heard it here first. All right. So today, lots of stuff going on, lots of themes to weave in. Our theme this month, Planted in Truth, and we were talking last week about what that means. What does it mean to be planted in truth? And one of the things we shared was being planted in truth means, hang on, before we do that, one more special announcement, and then we'll get into what planted in truth means. So Easter Sunday, next week, in the morning, online, 9 and noon Eastern Time, I'm going to do a very quick blessing ceremony, calling a blessing a sacred renewal ceremony. Where we'll be on Zoom. If you choose to participate, you can sign up via our website. We have it on our website and our email newsletter this week. And it's just an opportunity for you to remember who you are in this kind of holy sacred day season, and spring renewal, and opportunity to bless yourself. I actually had somebody, this came about because I had somebody in a family that I've been ministering to for a very long time, and they're getting married overseas in an Orthodox church, and one of the individuals needed to be baptized. And so they said, can you do, you're our family minister, can you do something for us? I said, of course. So we did that, and as I was writing it, I was like, this is really moving. Because I had to do it on Zoom because they're in another state, and for them to be sort of in charge of the process, right? Because your blessing doesn't come from a minister's power. It doesn't come from the elements of the ritual. It doesn't come from, some other divination of some kind. It comes from the recognition inside of you, right? And so as I was preparing and kind of figuring out how to weave that New Thought message in and do what they needed to do, this came about. And I said, I bet other people would like to do this too, maybe on an annual basis. So we're calling it a sacred renewal ceremony. Again, you can 2 time slots that you can choose from, 9 a.m. and noon here on the East Coast. If you're watching us online, it would be 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. on the West Coast, and so on and so forth across the country. 30 minutes or so, and you're going to get a little PDF booklet that explains how I've kind of reinterpreted things like baptism and christening and that sort of thing in New Thought language. And so if that calls to you and appeals to you, it's just a wonderful way to kind of just begin your spring and create that sacred space. So please check that out if that appeals to you. And then, of course, we will have our 3 o'clock service here in the afternoon for Easter Sunday. All right, with that out of the way. There we go. So to be planted in truth means to root ourselves, not in appearances, not in fleeting circumstances, but in the deeper reality that underlies all things. Right? To be planted in truth means to root ourselves, not in outward appearances, not in fleeting circumstances. How many people know there's lots of appearances and fleeting circumstances right now that are, right? And we don't want to be rooted in that. We want to pay attention. We want to be aware, right? But not rooted in it. We want to be rooted in truth. We want to be rooted in the divine remembrance of who and what we are, in the deeper reality that underlies all things. The reality that says that we are divine emanations, of the one, as was spoken so beautifully in the prayer, that the universe is always unfolding towards a greater expression, even when it doesn't look like it's moving towards that greater expression. And that love is the ground of all being. But like seeds in the soil, truth emerges sometimes quietly, invisible at first, right? Roots have to spread out. It has to send a taproot down first, and then bring that sprig forward that begins to move towards the surface and break the surface. And all of that, as we were talking last week, takes some time. We don't see the evidence of that occurring initially. And so it's important in these kinds of seasons to remember that even in the stillness and even in the tumultuous times, that something is happening inside of us, to tap into that and to remember that. And so this becomes kind of a fitting image for both Passover and Palm Sunday and all of the sort of pageantry around that, because what looks like a parade in the Christian telling of the story is actually the planting of a deep subversive truth, right? The parade is actually a protest. It's a stand against empire. It's a call and a movement to awaken the truth of our being that lies within us rather than to project it on any one person. That's the metaphysical meaning, right? Now, I know many of us were probably taught that Palm Sunday was this simple story of triumph, that Jesus, rides into Jerusalem on a donkey. Crowds are waving their palm branches and shouting Hosanna and glory and all of this. But beneath the surface of that story, there's something more complex happening. There's kind of three layers, and I'll touch on them as we go today. There's the background and the context that is taking place, of why that story even emerges and gets written down or gets told and retold as important because of the context that it was taking place in. And then there's what's being expressed in that context and the message of those who are writing that story. And then there's kind of even the deeper truth of what's really going on, which is kind of what we're about here, metaphysically. What's really going on? There's the external context, there's kind of the unfolding of the current reality, and then there's okay, but what's really going on? Everybody get that? Like, those are three layers that you can look at anything in your life. You go home, you watch the news, you go, okay, there's the context, there's what's happening, there's the headlines, and then here's what's currently unfolding in my life, in my circumstance, how I relate to that. But then there's what's really going on, what's really taking place in the midst of this. And this metaphor that emerges out of the story when we look at all of these layers is that there's this protest taking place that is sort of like a calling for a new kind of power, this act of resistance, this parody of the imperial position that was present in the city of Jerusalem, and the military might that was going to be displayed during that same weekend of Pilate. Beautiful, powerful theologian Marcus Borg from Oregon, actually got to spend time with him on a few occasions in large settings while I was there. A beautiful book called The Last Week, and talks about the last week of Jesus' life. And Marcus Borg in that beautiful work says this. He says, 2 processions entered Jerusalem that day. One we know about was a peasant procession. The other, an imperial procession. Jesus' procession proclaimed the kingdom of God, but Pilate's procession proclaimed the power of empire. And so we have this metaphor set before us, this idea that, on one side we have Pilate's $92 million military parade. Did I say that right? Did I translate in the proper coinage for the day? You always have to update your stories to proper, right? The military parade of imperial strength and might and wealth and control. Now, on the other hand, this, first of all, celebration of Passover, But then within that, this context of this display of humility and compassion and a radical vision of a world turned upside down. And then somewhere in the midst of that, these palm branches kind of come out, right? Where Jesus says, okay, I'll go. And then he's like, where are my fans at? Are you with me so far? 92 million, and where are the fans at? We'll get there, don't worry. They were a symbol because they weren't even from the area. There were no palm trees in the area. The palms come from Jericho. And they reflect another story, a 200-year-old story at that time of the Maccabean revolt, right? Where the Jewish rebels reclaimed Jerusalem from Greek occupation, and the crowds celebrated with palm branches. And so for them to bring out this symbol again, or at least in the story to bring in the symbol again, was not about so much a symbol of praise, but it was a welcoming of this revolutionary hope of remembering of their liberation and of a hope for a future beyond empire. And that's why today, as people of faith, of people of vision, people of a metaphysical truth, it's important that we reflect on these things and the reason that they matter so deeply. Because even now, the world is shaped by these two processions, right? These two processions taking place both in our minds, but also in the context that we live in every day. We're living in the midst of these two processions right now. Can you feel it? On the one path is the power over dynamic, the dominance, the scarcity thinking of separation. On the other path is the heart of justice and of compassion, of beloved community, a path of awakening to the depths of our being, that God has given us a power to form our world, and that resides within us and can't be dictated by external authorities and controls. And so Palm Sunday reminds us that every day we are choosing which procession to join. We are choosing, are we called to vision, a world that stretches us far beyond the horizons of what we can currently see, or are we choosing the fear and the scarcity and the control and subversion, the oppression of some, and we don't care as long as it doesn't touch our group, kind of thing, all of that dynamic being played out. You see how that's still being played out today? Right? It's as old as this ancient story, but it's still in our midst. And then metaphysically, there's even a third way, right? Because whenever you ask a metaphysician to tell you a story or ask them a yes or no question, it's always a, or either or question, it's always yes, right? There's always the both and, right? So there's these two dynamics, this polarity taking place, but then there's the metaphysical truth underneath, which is the message that Jesus represents, which is this third way that he's announcing that in many ways, Jesus is on the path of simply demonstrating his internal truth. Step by step, day by day, one kind of logical step after the next, just quietly demonstrating the divine truth of his being. And today is no different than yesterday. Today I wake up and say, what is mine to do? Know the truth of who I am and show up in this way, right? Today, what is mine to do? Know the divine truth of who I am and show up in deal with the context of the world that comes at me and what opportunities present themselves to me, and do that day by day, moment by moment, right? One seemingly insignificant moment at a time. But the buildup of that over time leads to this greater demonstration or this greater event in Palm Sunday. James Clear, in his work, Atomic Habits. How many people are familiar with Atomic Habits? A great, powerful, inspirational work that's very popular these days, right? He says, just the slightest change in your daily habits can guide you to a very different destination. Right? He uses the metaphor of two planes taking off from Los Angeles, and just a 3.5 degree difference in their flight orientation. Flights are constantly correcting themselves, but just from if you were just to map it out and just say, here's 1 and 2, and make a 3 degree separation between the two in their trajectory. One of those planes, each starting in Los Angeles, one of them lands in New York City, and the other one lands in Miami. 3 degrees. Right? Because the buildup of it over time, and what that subtle change puts it on a completely different trajectory. So in Atomic Habits, what this means is our daily practice, our daily focus, slight, subtle things, our affirmations, our meditation, our prayer time, our study. All right? The spiritual truth that we've always been taught in New Thought circumstances, that the future is not built in grand gestures, but in quiet, consistently tending the seed of our vision, of our hopes, of our dreams. To vision, as we do here on the second Sundays, right? Daily alignment into that greater reality of the world that we want to build, a world that works for everyone. And so the Jesus of Palm Sunday is not offering a moment of spectacle, but a moment and a model of practice. There was a spectacle because of the context. There was a spectacle because the crowds had gathered for Passover. There was a spectacle because though the crowds had gathered for Passover, Pilate said, you all can gather and celebrate and do what you want to do, but I'm going to show up in my military horses and the whole thing and march right through the center of the city and remind you where the power really is. So go ahead and celebrate and eat all the food you want and do whatever. But I'm going to remind you who and what's in charge. And this build-up and this tension between those realities is the context and the background. But Jesus is not there to make a spectacle of the moment, but to make a continued demonstration of that daily practice, living an example of how to stand in truth even when the world around you says otherwise. The world might be a spectacle, but I'm in practice, right? The world might, like right now, there's a spectacle going on, but my response is to be in practice, right? The economy, there's a spectacle going on, but I'm going to be in practice. And sometimes we get caught up in the spectacle, right? Sometimes we get caught up in the news feed. Sometimes we get caught up in the drama and the story of it. And to a certain degree, and we all know that in fact, part of the strings that are pulling in the spectacle is that they want you to be caught up in it, right? They want you to be, oh my God, did you hear? And oh my God, did you hear? And oh my God, and you notice how quickly it changes, like by the day, right? Like, oh, this is going to happen, and this is the trajectory it's going to have. It's going to mess everything up. Oh, never mind, we changed our mind, right? 8 hours later, yeah, we're going to do that thing, except for this, but not that part. And I love the tariff thing, just for a moment. Oh, let's go there, shall we? I mean, you're with me, right? It's now a 200% tariff on China or whatever it is, right? Which is like everything that we buy, And then 24 hours later, well, except for the phones, right? Except for those smartphones that are really popular. But the point is to raise a bunch of revenue through the tariffs to pay off debt or whatever. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to take the most popular and most expensive thing that comes from China and exempt that, right? But they just want you in that drama and caught up in that headline so that 8 hours later, by the time we get to noon on Monday, it'll be something else, right? So there's a spectacle going on, but I'm in practice. Palm Sunday says, I have mastery and authority and a dominion over my mind, my consciousness. I choose to be the master of my circumstances. And I am victorious in every turn, and I march right into whatever else is going on. Regardless of the consequence, regardless of because it's not about that, it's about my consciousness and my mind. I know my truth. There's a conviction. Before we ever get to Palm Sunday, there has to be a conviction inside of the mind of Jesus to say, I know who I am, and I'm going to show up in that, even though all of this is going on, right? Can you see yourself in the space and place where you need to make that proclamation, right? That in order to blossom into your greater yet to be, that it requires, the universe will constantly test you and say, are you sure? What about this drama? What about this drama? What about that? What about these circumstances? And it will require you to get to the place where you are so still and so assured and so convicted of your internal truth that you'll say, regardless of the circumstances, I'm going to march right into this dynamic and announce who I am, right? And when you do that, you can do that in prayer. You can do that in meditation. You do that in the mental atmosphere of your vision, that you march right into your career. You march right into your relationship. You march right into your financial situation. You march right into your health and well-being, whatever circumstance you want. March right in, and the noise and the circumstances, all of this stuff. But I'm going to go right down the middle of it in my daily practice and announce this greater truth. Right? But be careful when you do that, because making such a proclamation changes everything. How many people know about it? How many people have been there? When you really make that proclamation, it changes everything, and that's where we get the whole rest of the week, right? Because at the end of the parade, nothing really happens. I'll say it again. At the end of the parade, nothing really happens. The crowd goes away. And I got to imagine that for Jesus, this was rather disappointing. And maybe even for the people, because there was an expectation of a revolution. And the revolution didn't take place. And why? Because there's cross purposes. Right? The context of the background is the state of oppression, the drama, all of that. The expectation from the people is that there will be a revolution like there was in the Maccabean revolt, right? And that third way, Jesus comes in and says, yeah, there's a revolution. It comes out of announcing and knowing the truth of your being. You got to do the work. You got to show up as you. I can't do it for you, right? And so the crowd kind of gets close. They get close to it, and they hear it, and they go, oh, yeah, on a second thought, I got some stuff to do over here, you know. I got some TV I need to catch up on, right? And Jesus persists anyway and goes on to, and you can analyze the rest of the week. Where does he go? In the midst of that, where does the change from the inside out begin to take place? He goes to the temple to chase out the money changers. Where is our mind in terms of the temple of our being? Where are we devoted? Where are we handing over our wealth or our worthiness to other things that aren't deserving of it? Where do we need to chase that out and get purified again, right? Where are we dealing the currency of our high self? In a world that's keeping oppression in place, or in a world, in a vision that's liberating? And right? So he shows us all the way through, all the way up to the trial, to be convicted for who and what he really is. Or as they used to ask me in youth group when I was growing up in this very church, in this philosophy, if you were to be convicted of being a religious scientist, a New Thought practicing person, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Right? Would there be enough evidence? Because demonstration is the only authority. Where is the evidence for what it is that you want? The vision that you're holding. Howard Thurman, the great mystic, says that the movement of spirit, this comes out of a beautiful book called The Footprints of a Dream. The movement of the Spirit of God in the hearts of man often calls them to act against the spirit of their time, or causes them to anticipate a spirit which is yet in the making. Right? When we cultivate that inner presence, the call of that spirit will cause us to say, I see where, against the spirit of this time, right, against what's happening, that I need to thread the needle and go right down the center of the city of the drama and announce the truth of my being, or cause to be stirred in you the eventuality of that, right? that's in the making. You know, we've all been there. We've felt that, oh, if I really say yes to that, it's going to require that I disturb all this other stuff. If I really say yes to that, I'm going to have to go against the grain of the dominant culture. I'm going to have to go against the grain of the collective consciousness. I'm going to have to go against the grain of maybe even the collective consciousness in your own mind that's been conditioned to say you're not worthy or you're not enough or you're not this or you're not that. Well, if I really listen to that divine presence within me, if I really follow that, I'm going to have to go against all of that. But yet I know that I am here to have mastery and authority and a dominion over my mind, to be the master of my circumstances and victorious at every turn. And so Palm Sunday is really about that tension. It's about the willingness to live for a world not fully yet visible, and to plant ourselves in truth so deep that we become midwives of justice and agents of change and peace. And so the question becomes, what horizon are we gazing at? What future are we allowing to emerge through us, not just in our individual lives, but for the world that we share, right? Because it's more than just visualizing. It's more than just wishful thinking. It's about visioning and embodying a greater truth. So Jesus indeed and does, he says, okay, there's the military might, there's the unfoldment of all of this. Bring me the colt, bring me the donkey, bring me something humble and meek that doesn't speak of power. I mean, march right in, and indeed, where are my fans at? It keeps coming to me. Some of you know. Right? And that's what's required in us, to find that place of conviction. What am I willing to be a stand for? And can I visually see it? Can I begin to embody it? Can I make room for it to live in me such that everything else moves out of the way? And those that praise us along the way, those that say, oh, I'm glad you found your conviction. I'm glad you found your purpose. I'm glad you found your thing that you want to live for. I'm glad you've announced your truth in your life. To celebrate us there in the beginning and cheer us on, and then quietly drift away, fade into the background. As you stand in the presence of that truth and say, it's going to require that I change some things. It's going to require that I behave a little bit differently. It's going to require that I show up a little bit differently. And okay, well then you go ahead and do that. Right? Not sure that I'm ready for that. Right? And so what is the vision that you hold for yourself? What is the vision that you hold for the world in which you live? What is the vision that you want to see move through you as you are planted in a higher truth of who and what you are? Can you take a moment right now to just take a breath, as we do in even deeper ways in our visioning practice every second Sunday? To just imagine for a moment, just allow Spirit to speak through you. What is the vision that I hold for this moment in my life? Is there a turning point? Is there an awakening? Is there an opening that is taking place? And can I begin to see and feel and sense what that is for me? Or perhaps it's the greater world that I can see and sense and feel. There's something that wants to come forward. It's evident in the tension. It's evident in the press of people in the streets, and the tension in the governments around the world. It's evident that humanity is pressing against something that wants to come forward. Can I see and feel and sense what that is and what my part might be in it? Am I willing to ask myself, what do I need to release in order for this vision to come forward? If you get a sense of anything of what that is for you, what do I need to release or let go of? Any old story, anything that no longer serves you? And just breathe into that. And what if releasing it was that easy? Just taking a breath and then exhaling and letting it out. What do I need to embrace? What greater idea for who and what I am, or what greater idea for humanity? What greater idea for the world? What do I need to embrace? And what if embracing that was as easy as taking a breath and letting it come into your being? When you can begin to cultivate this space on a regular basis as part of your practice, and give thanks for just taking the moment to have that insight, then you begin to cultivate the place of vision. You begin to cultivate the place of embodiment. You begin to move physically. Your body will shift and energies will move and shift, and you begin to be a container for something bigger than your current reality. A container for something bigger than your current reality in relationship to finances or well-being or relationships or career or anything else, or that collectively we become a container for something bigger than the current reality of the political tensions and dramas and whatever might be happening in our current state of affairs as a collective group of people. Ernest Holmes says in this thing called You, he says, we must not only believe the law of good, in the law of good, but we must also act as though it were true. We must not only believe in the law of good, but we must also act as if it were true. And so the first step is to do that visioning. The first step is to hold that space. The first step is to be able to be so filled with the vision and the vibration of it that then we can take a step in that direction. Then we can begin to take one piece of action, one particular thing. If you're holding a new vision for your life in finances or health and well-being or relationships or career, what's the one thing I can do today? You know, can I study? Can I take a class? Can I learn something? Can I sign up for something? Can I participate in a way that moves me in that direction, right? Can I shift my finances here or there, even in small ways, right? You know, pay attention to stop spending frivolously on this and invest more in this. And just subtle, small changes every day to begin to act in alignment with that vision. Because it's not enough to just hold a beautiful idea of peace or justice or wholeness in our hearts, but we're called to live it as well, to walk down the road towards what we envision, to lay down like the palms in front of us all of our limited beliefs and our fears and our old stories, and to rise up with new courage and new action with a community of people that believe in this power. This is how we move from being passive observers to co-creators of beloved community. This is how we move from going beyond the horizon together, to be planted in truth in a universe where nothing is being withheld from us, in a space and a vision where nothing can be withheld from us, where the harvest is always waiting, where the seed is always growing, where the horizon is always expanded, to be planted in truth, trusting in a world that we cannot yet see, but knowing that it's already in motion in our direction, trusting and holding a vision and acting in faith, taking alignment daily in our actions as an act of love, and to living that vision into being through the greater work of our lives. This is Palm Sunday, which is an opportunity that we have at every moment of our lives to choose that path of peace, to choose that procession of compassion, to choose the steady unfoldment of justice in the world and in our lives, not through force, but through vision, not through fear, but through faith. Because Spirit is always offering us a new horizon. And when we're planted in truth, rooted in love, willing to walk the path, we become the living branches of a new world. Amen? Let me invite the practitioners who are available today for prayer to come forward. Let me invite you to simply take a breath right where you are. We have practitioners online available for you as well. They're making themselves known in the chat. And if you're on YouTube or Facebook and you don't see that notification, or you want to connect deeper with the practitioner, please visit our website. Our practitioners are listed there. If you're in the room, you can connect with the practitioner after the service for a brief motivational prayer. And you can always make an appointment to go even deeper into the subconscious of your awareness, to get anchored in the divine truth of who and what you are. And in this moment, they join me in this prayer, acknowledging the one power, one presence, one life that is the power, the presence, and the life of all that is. It's the only thing that there can be. One unlimited source and substance and supply from which all things come, from which all things are manifest, seen and unseen, the invisible essence of life itself. It is breathing you right now. It's breathing me. It's breathing us. And it's inviting us to something even greater. To be the space that holds a vision of a greater possibility. To act in faith and trust towards that vision. And to be bold enough to step out into the city of circumstances and proclaim our truth. And so I know that this power, this presence, this life is moving in, through, and as all creation. And it has only one desire, and that's to manifest itself as boldly and beautifully and passionately and wonderfully as it possibly can through you and through me and through all of life and creation. As love and as beauty and as unlimited expression, as creativity, as abundant flow of resources, all that you need to meet the vision of your heart is there because God is all there is. All that's required is to be open to it, to say yes to it, to let the circumstances fall where they may, and to march forward with conviction and passion towards the truth of your being. Say yes to that divine idea. Say yes to that vision unfolding. Say yes to the boldness and clarity that is required from within you, and watch everything unfold to meet the demand of that point in consciousness, the conviction of your heart, the determination of spirit to manifest in, through, and as you. Not because you say it's so, but because it says that you are so. You are its manifestation. You are its place to show up. But you got to say yes. You got to be willing. You got to surrender to it. Feel the vibration of that. Let it come fully into your being. Let it manifest through your body. Let your cells remember, so that as you move through this week, the circumstances and challenges that meet you, you will be activated to cultivate this feeling tone again, and to meet the moment with a vibrational essence that remembers who you are, so that your words, your actions, your body, everything is guided into the direction of your highest good at the right and perfect moment. Yes? We say yes. We say yes. We give thanks and we allow it to be. Thank you, God. And so it is, and so we are. Peace and blessings.
Put your hands together, let's sing, come on now. We envision a world that works for everyone, and all of creation, woo! We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone. creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. Somebody join this woman. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone, everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. 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 Yeah. We'll see you downstairs. Enjoy some food with us.